of psychic readers. They're clairaudience, clairsentient, and so on. What is your specific forte?
Well, just like I was saying, I'm more clairaudient. I hear. When I was a kid, I didn't have a quote-unquote imaginary friend, but I would talk to spirit all the time. I didn't realize anything was wrong with it because no one said, "Oh, there's no one there," or "Oh, you're too old for that," or X, Y, and Z. You need to leave that alone because you're too old for that nowadays. I would just carry on conversations with people that other people couldn't see, and I couldn't see them either. I could just hear them. And so, if someone's talking to you, it's rude not to say something back.
Yeah.
So, I would do it that way. And so if I had to narrow down mine, it would be clairaudient with a strong dose of clairsentient as well.
Do you think that we have been deliberately dumbed down when it comes to our psychic abilities by society?
Yes. And I think as far as that goes, I think it's because people don't understand it. And when we don't understand things, we either investigate them or we're afraid of them. And too often, most of humanity has fallen on the "I'm afraid of it" side of the equation. And so that's why people say, "Oh, you're too old for an imaginary friend. Who are you talking to? There's no one there. You don't really see that person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." And because we don't understand it. And so we're afraid of it. We think it's of the devil, whatever that may manifest to people. And so, there's a lot of fear that's surrounding it.
Stephen, tell me, do you think that a person's religious beliefs play a part in their ability to be psychic or not to be psychic?
I would say no. As I've said a few times now, we're all born with it. Regardless of our spiritual inclination or lack thereof, we're all born with it. I think that it helps, certainly, to have some kind of religious inclination of some sort.
Right.
But if you don't, a lot of people call it energy. I know of atheists who don't necessarily believe in a higher power, but they believe that energy is there and it never goes away. And so, and so you could even do it that way.
Right.
Spirituality always helps it, but it doesn't necessarily. You don't necessarily need it.
For people who have never gone to a psychic fair or have never had the opportunity of meeting a tarot reader, could you explain to our listeners who haven't what a tarot reader is and how you read tarot?
Well, the main thing about tarot is I always tell the people I'm going to give you the cards to shuffle, and you're basically putting the cards in the order that they should go, and I'm just interpreting it. And so it puts the impetus back on them to say, because they are the ones that are, stretching that psychic muscle of their own and putting the cards together on their own. And all I have to do is connect to that kind of energy. And after the cards are shuffled, I flip them over and I look at them and I interpret what they've put in order for me. And so it's really not a scary experience. It's actually, it can really be a life-affirming experience for people.
How many cards are there in an average tarot deck?
there are 78 or 72 or 78. I can't remember right now. Yeah.
And why are there so many different types of tarot cards?
Well, tarot started out as a game, and so much like any other trump kind of a game, like spades or hearts or something like that. And so there were only 21 or 22 cards to begin with. And then as time went along, they added in the suit decks, diamonds, spades, clubs, and, oh gosh, I forget the other one.
Hearts.
And mixing them all in together, that's what created the 78 cards. It didn't start out that way, but the cards that we work with today have all four suits, ace through king. So that's how that came about.
So I guess you, in a crunch, you could actually just use a regular deck of playing cards to do a reading.
You actually could. And in fact, I know somebody who strictly uses a playing deck of cards, and it's incredible the insight that he gets just from a playing deck.
Wow. Stand by, Stephen. You and I have to take a commercial break with the news. www.travelingtarot.com is Stephen's website. And Stephen and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell, and whatever you do, do not go away. We'll be back. Hi, this is Rob McConnell, just letting you know that the X Chronicles newspaper is now available online at www.xzonebookclub.com. All past editions and current editions of the X Chronicles newspaper are available for 99 cents. That's www.xzonebookclub.com, and that's 99 cents U.S. per edition. And don't forget, the X Zone store is now open as well for all of your X Zone Nation merchandise. www.thexzonestore.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Welcome back, everyone. Stephen Dillard Carroll is my special guest this hour. www.travelingtarot.com. So let me ask you this: if tarot was initially a form of a card game like spades or hearts, when and why did it actually turn into a divination tool?
Well, that's an interesting question. The when, I'm not 100% sure about. I have been researching that and looking into it. But because there isn't a specific date as to when it switched over. And in fact, there are some places in Europe where there are still only 22 cards in the deck, and they're still using it as a game rather than a source of divination. They call it Tarochi. But for the general world at large, I would say around the 18th century is when it started making that turn. And I think it was because people were adding more cards to the deck. And they were, with the suits, there are, different imagery that goes along with each suit. And instead of it being an ace of diamonds, it would be it would show an image of some sort that had nothing to do with diamonds at all, but it had a spiritual connotation to them. There is some conjecture that it goes back as far as Egyptian times. That has not cut the mustard as far as scientific evidence, but there still is anecdotal evidence. Take it for what that is. That this particular form of divination goes as far back as that, but I would say around the 18th century is when it finally made that turn into something that was more of a divination tool for the world at large. But like I said, there are still some places in the world where the first 22 cards are just used as a trump kind of game.
Wow. What kind of questions do people ask you when they sit down in front of you and go to you for a reading?
The number one question I get is, am I going to die?
Well, that's an easy answer. Yes.
There you go.
All right, so much for my career as a reader.
So I'll see you at the next psychic fair.
There you go.
And honestly,
yeah.
I wish I could make that up. I wish I could have made that silliness up, but it really is. That's the number one question that I get is, am I going to die? And I always say, I'm more concerned with how you actually live, rather than how you're going to die or if you're going to die, because we all are going to die. The second most popular question, and it just shows the sign of the times that we are in right now, is when will I find gainful employment?
When you put out your job resume and get off your lazy butt. There you go.
Well, I think that it probably goes a little bit deeper than that.
Oh, okay. What do I know? I'm a radio host. What do I know? I'm a radio talk show host. I'm not a tarot card reader. I'd be a lousy psychic.
I just think that we just haven't. People say that we're over the recession, but tell that to the people that come and see me.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. By what they tell me, if it's the second most popular question, and I see a lot of people, if it's the second most popular question that people have, then clearly there still are a lot of people out there that are hurting.
But how much of the information that you give them is actually based on just am I going to find love? Are you looking for love? Am I going to find a job? Are you looking for a job? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.